Hello, and welcome to the Devil's Hour. My name is Geoff with a G, and for the next hour and a half, we're going to be hanging out and doing some weird and crazy stuff. Um, if you catch earlier, Dahlia, she did say something about me being used to be in Houston, and I'm still Houston Brown, and everything like that. So I'm glad to be still helping out with that case and like that. In fact, if you guys want to help out, I've got right down there, you can donate to Cabin Fever on PayPal for Cabin Fever livestream at gmail.com. And if you guys are curious on what I can do for me, myself, and I've got right there my contact information right there. You can catch me at my email address, which is with.a.jeff@gmail.com because I like it complicated. I have Venmo and PayPal. I can tell you right now, most like whatever you give me, I'm probably going to give to whoever other performers I really like and enjoying and doing stuff. So, as you guys notice, this is a thing we call the Devil's Hour. I like to call this Season 2. If you haven't catched the first season, that's fair. It was only live on stage in Houston, Texas. But since moving here to Austin, trying to find the right venue for it or find the right format for it was being a little bit trickier. Luckily, weirdly enough, is doing it here on screen with you guys is probably the perfect way to do such a thing. Normally we have a host on stage, but due to the quarantine, Lucas Morningstar can't make it. Hopefully, as we keep doing these sort of things, I keep wanting to bring back the Devil's Hour to you guys each and every week. Lucas can either remote in or at least give us updates on what's going on. All right, cool. Now, the format for the show had been a late night talk show, so let's get started with what we like to call the opening monologue. All right, cool. And if you guys are enjoying this, please let me know and give a shout out on the chat because we are on the chats there. And it looks like we're a little few at the moment, but that's okay. It's early. I get it. All right. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. Now, I know we've been trapped here on quarantine for a bit, and really there's only really one cause for that. That's right. It's the Tiger King. For those of you who've been living under a rock, which, to be fair, most of us have been living under a rock, but those who've been living under a rock and not Netflix, this is a show about a guy in rural Oklahoma who has a tiger zoo. And he's gay. And he has 2 husbands. So he's also a country music star. He had an internet show. He also ran for president. He even ran for the governor of Oklahoma, where he came in 3rd place. Oh, and he also tried to hire some guy to kill somebody else, and is going to jail for it. And what's weird is that he's not even the craziest person that was on stage, on the screen. Joe, guess what? He is a star. I mean, he has a series. I mean, he did pop up and did do stuff like that. He popped up on a lot of national television too, so quote-unquote star. Everybody wants their 15 minutes. Anyway, as I said, he's not even the craziest person on stage. Who do you guys think is probably the craziest person on stage, on the show? Would you say it was Jeff Lowe? The random dude from Las Vegas to try to bail out our Joe Exotic. Doc Antle from the Tigers, as in dotted out organization of South Carolina, who seems to have a harem going. Or Carol. They're all really crazy and weird. It's like wild. Now the press has been so good and big with this that, of course, with the elections coming up this year, our commander-in-chief is looking for a change. That's right, Tiger Trump 2020. Because why have even a kind of idea as far as what's going on when it does? I don't know. It just, well, let's go all reality. Trump and Exotic 2020. Tiger Trump. Now, I know you guys are trying to think about what to do with your time at home. Well, first off, wash your hands, soap and water, lather them up nice and good so they're nice and clean. The reason why is because Pornhub has become Stay Home Hub. They've offered their premium services for free so you can get dirty at home all over again. Now, you can choose from such lovely categories as amateur, feet, and I would assume amateur feet if that's what you're into, massage, cosplay, cartoons, so that way you can see some different routes as far as what Beauty and the Beast are really up to. Old/young, school, and for those still having to work because they are essential services, there is a safe for work option on Pornhub. They're even going so far as to taking care of their nice and lovely disabled people with things like descriptive video for our blind folk and closed captioning for those who can't hear. So please, 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 please stay at home and check for lumps. And it's perfectly fine if you have to check lumps 3 or 4 times a day. Nothing is wrong. It's okay being thorough. I will most likely be checking lumps once I get off the screen today. It's a little too early for me to start with it earlier than that, but that's usually how it goes. All right. Now, speaking of not safe for work, the major networks have begun to not show the press conferences coming down from the White House because of the false scientific data that is being spewed by our president. Now, between that and constant bullying, it seems that enough is enough. I don't have a joke here. I mean, really, we should stand up to bullies. Now, before any of you people go out and say, hey, that's our president, we should respect and obey whatever he has to say, guess what? We were founded on the fact is that we don't just, submit to bullies. I mean, just go way back to the late 1700s and see on how we dealt with a little bully from across the ocean by the name of King George. And also, for those of you that insist on that, were you polite with our last president? I mean, really? Just shut the fuck up. Can say that, it's just Twitch. We're no longer on a Facebook stream. All right. Now, last but not least, many local distilleries are switching from making liquor to making hand sanitizer. Now, to be classified as a sanitizer, you have to be over 60% alcohol. Then you add a little bit of glycerin, a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, mix it all up to be a lovely cocktail to kill germs. I just happen to have some right here. It's got a little too much glycerin. Now, please note that, let me take that off before I go any farther. Now, please note that when using hand sanitizer, you're using that in addition to washing your hands with soap and water. Do not, I repeat, do not do that instead of, because soap and water is important. And besides, if you just use hand sanitizer, you may just end up like this. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you don't watch the show, you should. It's crazy. It's good. It's lovely. It's wonderful. All right. So we got a nice show going on tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun and everything like that. So stick around. I actually have a sponsor, believe it or not. So we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
All right, we're back. That is actually Old Humble. They're actually a sponsor of mine. They've been sponsoring shows that I've been doing for quite a while live, and now they're here now on the internet. Joe Bretta, the Old Humble guy, actually has done a couple of shows already with Cabin Fever. Hopefully, you caught him last night as he was pulling off a drunken Bob Ross with a quite lovely and crazy painting. Before I get any further, I need to take care of something real quick. I'll explain later. I just want to do it so that way I don't forget. I apologize for everything going on. I'm going to put this right here. Maybe. There we go. Those daggers right there are actually from Jack Dagger. I actually got them from him when I was at the Great Southern Sideshow Hootenanny. I will be talking about that in a little bit. About what a great opportunity I had there and stuff like that. As I mentioned earlier, I talked with Joe, and he's one of my lovely, lovely friends, and we take care of stuff. Now, what I'm going to do now is, and what I want you guys to do now is go ahead and grab a drink. What I like to do is, I like actually a big fan of old fashions, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some ice. And some Old Humble Special Reserve. Usually I stop there as far as being my drink, which is just Whiskey the Rocks. I'm going to do something a little bit extra special for you guys. I'm going to make an old fashioned, or at least my version of an old fashioned. The reason it's my version is because I tweak it up a little bit and have something a little different and weird. And so I do the whiskey first because I don't know how much I want to drink at the time. I actually made my own simple syrup, which is really easy. This is actually like a pear-infused simple syrup that I'm going to pour in here as well. That should be about enough. And then I'm going to top it off with some chocolate mole bitters. I'm going to do like, really cool about like this brand. They're not sponsoring me, so I'm not going to say what it is, but you can track it down. And then I drop in like 4 to 5 drops. Last but not least, I like to kick in a cherry. And we're good to go. And that is my cover of doing an old fashioned. This is what I usually drink when I like to drink on my own. Well, let me swirl it around for a second. Let it mix up. Let it marry each other. Much better. All right. Anyway, I mentioned earlier about the Great Southern Sideshow Hootenanny. Oh, before I get in. Also, I keep doing like before. Right now, I'm wearing a shirt called Sex Clowns for Satan. Give a shout out to Pickles LeVay. She's out of Canada. She is a performer. She's a clown and sideshow performer, hence this Sex Clowns for Satan. I met her last year at the Hootenanny, and so I want to make sure I rep a friend on screen or stage, which is what I try to do, whatever performances I try to do. All right, cool. And also, I've got my dope hat on. It's for the Burgundy Dopes, which myself, Louis Fox, and the Monsters of Schlock were running around this year and found these hats, thought they were great and funny, so we decided to get the hats and do stuff together. So it was a lot of fun. All right, anyways, Great Southern Sideshow Hootenanny. Now, I get to perform this year for the first time as part of the VIP show on Sunday. And what's great is I get to perform with my good friend Scabs the Clown. And we had a really great time. Now, I wasn't so much happy with the performance. I'm not sure if it was nerves or if it was exhaustion, or the fact is I'd been day drinking for like 4 days. I'm not sure. I'm going to attribute to a little bit of all three. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do then, what I'm going to do now is, for those people who didn't get a chance to see it, I'm going to do that act now. And I can do it from here. It's really nice. And then for those who did see it, you can see how I really originally wanted to do it. All right? Does that sound cool? Does that sound fun? Does that sound great? Does that sound lovely? Awesome. So here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those that prefer to maintain a level of mystery, my name is Geoff with the G. I am the garrulous gadabout. I am the drunken mentalist. Now, usually when I come on stage or now screen, I say some quips, talk about liquor, and I do some weird stuff in front of everybody. But tonight's going to be different. Now, I'll still have some quips. Of course, I'm going to talk about liquor. And I'm definitely going to do some things that my people might consider dumb. Now, before I get started, make sure everybody there in their living rooms, dining rooms, wherever they're wanting to watch this sort of thing, make sure you grab a drink of whatever you prefer to drink. If you're a drinker, whiskey's great, or tequila, or whatever. If you're not a drinker, then grab your favorite non-alcoholic beverage. It's going to be important later. All right, great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a story and how I get to be here today. Now, usually to tell the story right, and as a sideshow performer, I gotta use some sort of prop to help really tell my story right. So what I got here is a mousetrap. It is a live mousetrap. It sets off and goes lovely and neat and warm like that. And so, as I tell my story, this will help accentuate the emotional toll that I'm being experienced with so far. All right? Cool? Cool. Now, once upon a time, because all good stories start with once upon a time, I was married to a lovely and wonderful person. She may have been disabled physically, but she was not disabled emotionally or in life. We were together for 17 years. And those last few years were really, really hard for us because she'd fallen ill. So it was like just us for the last few years. And then on March 10th, 2017, at 2 a.m., she died. See, my world was gone because, as I said, like, there was nothing else going on for what was going on with me. She was my world. I ate, slept, and breathed her. I was up in the morning to work, back home to take care of her because she couldn't take care of herself. It got so bad that I even came close to ending it all. But I met friends. I figured out what to do, and I decided that I would put on a benefit on her behalf. And so exactly 1 year after her death, I put together a benefit for her. I brought in her absolutely favorite burlesque performer, who I'm going to name check now, which I didn't do before, but give her some love, Coco Electric. I brought in musicians like J.B. Zay. I brought in dancers like Emma Dilemma, who was shown a couple times on a live stream. I brought in Vivian Vermouth. We also sat and raised over $2,000 in a silent auction for her favorite charities, as I told her story. And then that was it. What do I do now? Well, as luck would have it, a couple weeks later, I got the chance to go to New Orleans to my very first Southern Sideshow Hootenanny, and I fell in love. I mean, a bunch of circus and sideshow folk descending upon New Orleans for a weekend to get together and do weird stuff together. dream thing, right? And it was. I fell in love. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever done, or anything like that. And I got to see some amazing feats. And what's more important, I get to meet a lot of really, really amazing people. People that I would consider family, tribe, and stuff like that. An extra thing I'm going to add in, so that way you can also hype these, spend money for these people, like Gigi Deluxe, like Christopher McDaniels, like Bazoo the Clown. Who else? Juliette Electrique, and so on and so forth. The Captain and Maybell, who, if you get a chance, are going to be Thursday. They're going to be doing Wife Swap. So Sideshow's Wife Swap, like on television. Okay, check that out. So on and so forth. A lot of really, really amazing people. And then I came home, and then I go, well, I had a great time putting together the benefit. I really fell in love with Sideshow. Can I? And so I put together another show, and it went together swimmingly. And I missed. Did it again. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. That still works. I put together a show again, where I had more performers come here. Gigi Deluxe came to Houston for her first time in Texas. Jim McKenzie performed that night. The magician Drew Hayen. Vivian Vermouth came down. Scabs the Clown performed. So on and so forth. Show went together well, and I go, well, maybe I can keep doing it. So I started creating more and more shows and doing more things. And then, one day, magic happened. I would say, really, it's just drunkenness happened. Myself, along with a lot of the miscreants from Houston, went to a boot camp ceremony for people into the boot camp, but then a boot camp by a burlesque boot camp that was run by a good friend of ours, Tifa Tiddlywinks, who's the person running Cabin Fever live stream. So, pay. And then me, and as an aside, every time she does a show, she always asks if you've ever been to a burlesque show. If you've never been to a burlesque show, please raise your hand. And myself, standing next to Scabs the Clown, as always, raise our hands. No, we've never been here before. She pointed us out, goes, hey, don't pay attention to those guys. They're a trash fire over there. And then, maybe. Sat at the bar a couple days later, talked to Scabs, and go, that'd be a really cool name for a sideshow troupe. He goes, yeah, that would. So we gathered together all the great sideshow people of Houston that we really like to work with. And so that's when the Trash Fire Sideshow was born. And that includes myself, Scabs the Clown, Chris Broken, Cooter Juggins, at the time, Mary Bleeds. Mary Bleeds has since retired. And now Nick the Vegan. So there's the five of us to get together and do weird Trash Fire Sideshow stuff. So it's a lot of fun. That hurts. So, that is where I'm at. I've gone from a pit of despair to now being on screen with mouse traps all over my body. So, what I'm going to do is I want to do a toast with everybody, which is why I asked. Make sure you grab a drink. So everybody grab the drink, whatever it is. So I want to do a cheers to you. Cheers to the freaks, the geeks, the weirdos, the buffoons, and those that choose to be all of the above. Cheers to you. Now I'm going to do this right. Once again, sideshow, doing it weird. And the best way for me to get free drinks in bars cheers, everybody. It is not fun, let me tell you. And the one that hurts most, you'd be surprised. If you come in and joined in, please give a shout out on the chat. I'd like to know you guys are here. I would love to chat with you guys more. I hope you guys are doing a good time. How you guys doing? Alrighty. So, what's some other fun stuff we got going on? See, ooh, wow. Tell you what, let's take a quick second so that way I can reset some stuff. How about another word from our sponsor?
Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
Hey, how's it going? I have returned. I've opted for a New Orleans double. At the Sideshow Hootenanny, I had the opportunity for the show. I made friends with the bartender. I make friends with all bartenders because you take care of me, I will take care of you. I'm a really good tipper as long as you treat me right. I'm not asking for anything free, but just if we have a good thing, I'm happy, really big tipper. So when I made friends with the bartender at the venue that we performed at on the day of the show, she goes, "Hey, yeah, you're drinking on stage, right?" She goes, "All right, cool. Do you want a double?" I said, "Sure." And this is what she gave me as my double. And this is my double. It is legit. The only thing I did was I topped off my other drink into it to make it bigger. It's mostly whiskey. And it is lovely. Alrighty, you guys want to see something weird and cool? Alright. So, how many people we got? So, please, this next bit is actually, weirdly enough, is interactive with the crowd, believe it or not. So, if you're on my chat, trying to see, make sure you're on the Cabin Fever cast versus mine, just to make sure I can see your chat and doing stuff, because the next bit I want to do involves you guys. Does that sound good? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to guide you guys to a certain card. I'm going to pop up. How am I doing right now? So right here is I got this set of cards right here. Now I have made a prediction on a certain card that's listed there. Now, my goal here is to guide you guys to that card. Do you understand? But it's going to be tricky because I can't see you. So I'm going to have to tune into people to make that work, all right? So, and it's going to be a dope trick. All right, so what I want you guys to do is with your finger, hand, whatever it is, however you're watching the thing, I want you to put your, I want you to circle your hand or finger over a red card. Any red card. You can pick any one you want. All right, you got it? All right, cool. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go left or right to the first black card. You got it? All right, now from that black card, I want you to go up or down to the first red card. All right. Okay, this one's gonna be a little trickier, all right? I need you to go diagonally that's diagonally to the first black card, closest black card to your red card. All right? Okay. Now here's the last bit here. So what I want you to do is I want you to either go down or to your right to the first red card. You got it? I'm going to give you guys a second to make sure you have the right card like that. Make sure you take it. I'm going to take the graphic down. So make sure you remember what card it is. All right. Cool. Now, as I said, I have the card right here. Now, tell you what. Put in the chat, what card did you get? Once again, the Cabin Fever live stream site. Alrighty. Not sure what's going on. I know there are people on, but they don't want to talk. That's okay. Can be daunting. But I'm going to take a wild, educated guess that what you chose was the Queen of Hearts. Was I right? If I was right, take a drink. If I was wrong, tell me, and then I'll take a drink. Although to be fair, I'll be taking a drink anyway. Alrighty, how you guys doing? You doing all right? This is really weird without having an audience here. So I have to guess what people are up to. I'm just gonna have to assume that the crowd, like the bar is really loud so they can't really hear me anyways. So it makes it sort of difficult. All right, cool. So, all right, let's, what else are we going to talk about? Just so you're aware that with the, I'll tell you what to talk about, is for those people who aren't aware, the Devil's Hour show. Get back to that. So the way the Devil's Hour show is supposed to work, is supposed to have 3 guests on, stage, screen to perform acts, and then the audience gets to vote for who they like best. Me moving to the digital format, I would love for you guys to submit to me something for the show. So if you have anything you want to submit and everything like that, or if you have any questions, we actually have our own email address for the Devil's Hour, and that would be devilsexhibit@gmail.com. Somebody else took Devil's Hour, so I had to make it work. So if you have any questions, concerns, things like that, you submit stuff, we'll get you on screen, and hopefully we'll get you in front of the right eyes to make stuff go better and crazier and stuff like that. Cool? Cool. Ryan Adam Wells, who opened up the day today, he actually was on the very first stage show of the production and actually won. And he had a really great song, and I hope he gets to perform it at some point soon. I just don't know when. I don't know. Anyway. More drinks. I think you're slowly going to see me devolve into a drunken mess before this thing's over with, which is okay. At 41 minutes, who cares if we're unconscious at the last half hour? It'll be cool and groovy. No worries, he says drunkenly. All right, so you guys want to see something fun? Let's talk about some other fun stuff like that. I'm gonna spend this time hyping my friends and the people I know and like the products they carry. So I don't have graphics because I just decided this is the last moment to do this sort of thing. Um, I'm actually adding some extra time on my show than I normally would be, but that's okay, because that's the way it works. So, the Great Southern Sideshow Hootenanny has a lot of great stuff, but the really cool and interesting thing, the things you can get right now, is this book. It's James Taylor, Shocked and Amazed. On and off the Midway. It's kind of like a history book of sorts, but not really. It's more like a travelogue, or lots of different stories about lots of really cool and interesting things from Sideshow. James is a fascinating man. You can get this online, tracked down, Shocked and Amazed. You can track that down anywhere. I recommend getting it. I picked it up at the Hootenanny, but I know you can pick it up online. And James is worthwhile. It's a good book to pick up. I would totally recommend it. And I get the hardcover because I'm hard on stuff, and then anybody who's met my dog knows sometimes things get wonky and crazy. All right, cool. What else? Other people to make sure to check out their stuff like that is, I'm going to give a shout out to my Burgundy Dopes. Louis Fox is an amazing magician and whip maker from out the Pacific Northwest. LouisFox.com. You can pick up whips and stuff like that. You go to hocuspocus.com, and he has tricks and stuff like that you can learn from him and see amazing and stuff like that. Try going LouisFox.com first, because that more of that money goes to him, and he's an amazing person. I would totally recommend him. Such a great guy. The other Burgundy Dopes are also the Great Orbox and Sweet Pepper Klopek from the Monsters of Schlock out of Canada. That's right, Canada. America's hat. They're amazing performers that not only do they do crazy stunts with Sideshow, but they're also science people, and they have an amazing number of Guinness Book World Records. And they do science stuff. They have a thing called Orbax and Pepper Do Science. You can see on Instagram. Right before the Hootenanny, they were on stage with Bill Nye. I mean, and they hang out with Bill Nye, then they come down and hang out and schlub out with here in New Orleans. It was a great time. And they're great, amazing people. So if you get a chance, check them out. Now, with the quarantines and a lot of stuff canceling, it's hard to see them live, but you can find all their stuff online. And Orbax and Pepper Do Science will be a great thing for the kids to learn about stuff. Totally great and wonderful, nice people. I completely recommend. If you're curious as far as who these people are and stuff like that, want more information, you can drop me a line. I'm Geoff with a G on Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. You got my emails and stuff with contact information right here. And please tip generously. I would appreciate it. I got to keep my dog fed in kibble. Should have, who's now passed out in the other room. Otherwise, I'd bring him out, and he might still go like that. I still have 50 minutes if I haven't passed out, which that's possible. Tell you what, the first person who says on the first person who tips me, make sure you put on the chat, and then I will do a big ass shot right here live, and we'll go shot for shot if you want to do that sort of thing. If not, we'll keep talking about stuff. Okay. I tell you what. Give me a second. Let's do another commercial, and we'll keep going. Okay?
Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
Hey, I am back. Sorry, I had to do a quick thing there. You guys doing all right? How sober are we? Amateurs. Let's see. I tell you what I'll do is something a little bit different, a little off script as far as when it concerns the Geoff, the Geo persona. My name actually is Geoff Peterson. Back to my story as far as how I became part of the doing this show like that, as I was married to a lovely and wonderful person by the name of Heather Harrelson. And even after this long, I still get kind of choked up just mentioning her name. She was this really crazy, I mean, I won't say crazy in a bad way, but she was this really weird, ethereal thing who just we should not have fit. She was a private school girl, and I was public school. I, at best, lived a life that was upper, lower class, maybe lower middle class, and she was pretty much upper middle class, lower upper class sort of life. She had been around the world multiple times as a child. I have been to the Bahamas and Mexico and some of the Americas. And that's it. Some of the United States, and that's about it. So in a lot of ways, we shouldn't have worked out. But somehow we did. I guess that opposites attracts thing really does mean something. Now, if you'll indulge me, which I know that I've got this live screen, so what can I do but be indulged? Thank you for placating my weird sort of narcissism. That's not really true, because while I like being on stage and doing stuff, I really have very little opinion of myself. But that's therapy, and I don't want to do that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some stuff that I did from the tribute show, if you guys want to indulge me. I know it's weird, it's crazy stuff. I mean, actually, Heather was a woman who basically really was slumming with me. She went to private schools her whole life, as I went to public schools. She'd been around the world several times before she was even 18, and I'd barely been out of the States. She was this rarefied, cultured woman who exuded grace and intelligence and could take command of a room with only a glance. Now, we've had some friends that have known for her to have what we call the laser death stare, but she's never yelled, never raised her voice. But if she looked at you that certain way, let me just say that your descendants would be getting that hair raised in the back of their neck. That somebody walked over your grave, heebie-jeebies sort of thing. But she had her playful side. She loved the kitschy knickknacks, the most ridiculous horror, and even cheesy pop music. But somehow she always blended that with her refined taste and made it something new. I mean, she was a really crazy and lovely woman, and we spent a lot of time together. And she was my best friend, and it's taken me a long time to be around and do stuff again. So, As I've tried to make my way out into the world since she died, people have asked me how we met. Well, we both belong to a fan organization where we dressed out to be and pretend to be vampires on the weekend. I liked it because I get to act and be role playing, and she loved costuming. At the time, I was living in Denton, Texas, going to school at the University of North Texas for theater and film. She was a native Houstonian, and we both initially met at this big thing happening in New Braunfels, Texas, which actually isn't that far from where I live now. Initially, we didn't think much of each other. It wasn't until we had a big convention in Los Angeles in 2001, right after 9/11, that we got to kind of know each other. See, emotions were running high for everyone that weekend. I think everyone just wanted to celebrate life and to release all that anxiety we were all feeling at the time. Now, protocols for such large conventions and spaces like that is after hours is like room parties. So myself and several friends would travel from room party to room party and drinking and talking to people who were there from all over the world. Well, Heather's room happened to be one of those stops. I'm not sure if it was her upbringing or the fact that of her disability, which she was disabled, but Heather did not tour parties. She created her own party and people came to her. She always surrounded herself with a party and never had to go anywhere. Now, well, during one of those stops, I was kind of sitting on the bed next to her, and she asked if she could put her head on my lap. On the outside, I'm going, yeah, sure, whatever. But on the inside, I'm going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What does this mean? I don't know. Well, that was all that actually happened that weekend. We kept in touch, and I, along with some friends, made a trip down to Houston for an organization, for a game. And then we hit it off even more swimmingly. We ended up spending the next 8 months traveling back and forth between Denton and Houston, talking on the phone and online, until I decided to take the leap and move to Houston. Interesting note, I thought the head resting in LA meant that she was into me. Turns out she wasn't. She just wanted to lay down, but she wanted to, position-wise, was better for her. It was really my persistence to actually get to know her is what made her interested in me. And it was crazy, huh? These are all the things I was talking about, like in between acts for her benefit. So I appreciate this. The first time I've said them aloud since then. So excuse me for my purging, I guess. I'll do something dumb in a second. So Heather was a lovely and wonderful woman, but she had quite a few hurdles to overcome that she had to constantly overcome, no less. She was born with a thing called Charcot-Marie Tooth syndrome. It's kind of like this genetic disease that causes neuropathy in the extremities. She was losing sensation, and the nerves were slowly pulling back from her extremities. She'd had to have several major surgeries in her legs just to be able to walk, although with difficulty with leg braces. Now, with those leg braces, there were things that she wanted to do, but she couldn't. The things she wanted most to do was dance. You have no idea how many hours I used to spend watching dance shows, musicals, movies with dancings. Did you know there's over 5 step-up movies? I've sat and watched them all with her multiple times. Actually, to be honest, I was actually more transfixed watching her because she was watching them so so intently, wishing that it was her that was dancing. Now, Heather did come from a very small family. She was an only child, as was her mother and grandmother. So Heather, in Find Heather form, decided to create a larger family with friends especially those that she called sister. We didn't have any children. It was a conscious choice. The disease she had was genetic, and it gets worse with every generation, and she couldn't bear the thought of bringing a child in the world that was worse off than she was. We actually had that conversation very early on in our relationship because she wanted to cast no illusions about children. So we doted on her godchildren, Christian and Jillian, and probably her really great, great love, our Malamute Sutek. Now, Sutek was a little Malamute who weighed over 160 pounds, and basically his back was almost to my waist. I'm 6'2", by the way. We got him. We did get him from a lady who wanted to breed her show dog at least once before she got her fixed. When we walked in, I already knew which dog we were going to get. They had a bunch of puppies there, but only one that was a big, fat, floofy one, and I knew that was the one she wanted. In fact, so much so that he just sat in the back and was watching us like he knew that we were going to be taking him. And sure enough, it was true. She loved that dog so much. Now, a couple years before she died, he also passed away. It ate her up so much because that was probably the closest thing we were ever going to having a child, because we raised it from a small pup. Now, we did have him cremated, and his remains, his ashes were in another room for us for a long time. So when she died, I made sure that he was at her feet again. Sorry. Now, Heather was probably the kindest person I know. I've seen her give money, possessions, food, and time, her most precious commodity, to those she saw in need. I've got countless stories of jackets and umbrellas given to the homeless, large donations made to small worthwhile charities, sometimes even something so simple as a toy to a well-deserving impoverished child. See, now it's about 15 years ago, I guess. We were visiting friends and family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we decided to visit a local mall and came upon a Build-A-Bear. Because Heather really loves stuffed animals, and so we got a Build-A-Bear, and they gave us a 30% off coupon for everything in the store. Now, we were sitting in a food court, and we were eating, and next to us, there was a couple who had this adorable little girl who was very well behaved. We overheard their conversation the conversation of the adults about some small money trouble they were having. Didn't get the specifics. But we did know that they wanted to make sure that they had a good Christmas for their daughter. With just a quick glance between Heather and I, she turned to the family and handed the coupon to them. Just like that. We chatted a minute for them and stuff like that. We talked to the little girl about what she wanted to do and stuff like that. And then we were on our way. And the parents were very, very thankful. See, Heather was really, really like that. If she saw someone or somebody in need, she would go out of her way to try to help. Sometimes it was gifts. Other times it was a well-placed phone call or a called-in favor. And 9 times out of 10, it was always anonymous. Many people would be really surprised by how far her reach really did to help them. So I've got a quick question. You don't have to post this in the chat or anything. Just with yourself and stuff like that. Can you pinpoint the exact time your life irrevocably changed? I can. It was March 10th, 2017, 2 a.m. See, but technically it probably was a little bit earlier. That's when I woke up. You see, a mere 2 hours earlier, I was actually settling down to go to sleep. And Heather was fitfully sleeping, moaning and shivering, fighting against some unseen nightmare. This was a very common occurrence. As a child, she did suffer from night terrors, so it's not unheard of for her to have these sort of issues. I tried to comfort her as best I could by kissing her on the forehead and telling her that everything was going to be okay. Little did I know how truly wrong that was. To be honest, I'm not really sure what woke me up. Could be some noise from the television that was playing, or just I get hot at night and I woke up to that. All I know is when I looked over at her, she was in the exact same position she had been when I went to sleep. I just knew something was wrong, and she was gone. So you see, from that moment, my life was completely changed. I went from a husband, a lover, a caretaker, to this broken thing. The next few months were a bit blurry as I barely slept, ate, even leaving the house was troublesome. I mean, part of the appeal of a marriage is something that way you know you're not alone. And I was. I will say that a lot of people reached out to me to make sure I didn't have to be alone. I used to have weekly dinners with a really good dear friend of mine with her family. I used to go to this thing I like to call the church, which is a weekly karaoke night in Houston, Texas, at Darwin's Pub, which, by the way, that's where Tifa Tillywinks works at on Mondays and Tuesdays whenever they open up again. Get a chance, go Monday, go to church. It's a really, really good experience. And then from there, I ended up meeting a lot of wonderful and crazy people, performers, and stuff like that. And these people accepted me when they really had no reason to do so. So now we're here. So the people that performed that night for the show, I'm going to list them out now because they deserve their respect and things like that, because it was a very important night for me. So the 20 people who performed that night were Dan D. Lyon, Geoff Duncan, Emma Dilemma, Christina Morandi, Vivi Vermouth, Jay Bizet, and Coco Electric. And the last thing I said there was what I said at her funeral. And I'm going to say that again. We'll take another moment, and then we'll do some other dumb stuff, all right? Cool? Cool. So Heather was a beautiful, amazing woman. She lived with physical ailments that would debilitate most people anywhere. Her immense inner strength and resolve guaranteed she lived as well as she could, and she never asked for special privilege or complained when faced with obstacles. She tackled her problems head on with a grace and kindness unmatched by anyone. She was the only child of an only child of an only child, raised in tandem by her grandmother Gayland, her kind and loving granny, and her generous and caring parents, Anne and David. But her family was small. She took this as a challenge and swelled those numbers with friends she considered family. She had no children except for her sweet boy Sutek and her amazing goddaughter Jillian and godson Christian. In the beginning, she warned me. She knew that her life was going to be shorter than most. She tried to push me away and scare me away from this, but she deserved to have the love that she gave. She deserved so much more than what life had allotted her. I'm humbled and honored that she allowed me to love her and be with her for all that time. She was the smartest person I know with the biggest heart. We can all learn a lot from her life. No matter the adversity, accept it with grace. It is always better to give. Show your appreciation to those you love and those that love you. And always use proper grammar. All right, kids. Give me a few minutes. Let me reset, clean out. I'm gonna run the commercial a couple of times so I can take a moment, and then we'll come back. Okay?
Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
And I'm back. Sorry for the delay. There's a lot of whiskey, coffee, etc., etc. All right. Let's do more whiskey again. Actually, weirdly enough, is I have to step away for 1 second, but I'm going to leave the screen on so you can check out this really cool painting I have behind me. I'll tell you the story about it when I get back. And I'm back. But the last time I'll be doing that sort of stuff, me on stage, stuff like that. So let me explain the picture I had back here. So that is my current girlfriend. Now, I mentioned earlier about the hoot and how important it was to me, because the first hoot kind of figured out what I wanted to do with my life. The second hoot I went to, I actually met her there. So last year. And then this year, I got to be on stage. Next year, I don't know. I want to get more involved with this, so hopefully that'll be what I'll be doing next. I don't know. It's a very, very important organization and very, very important people with me, and I'm happy to be part of it. Getting kind of empty. Luckily, I have more Old Humble whiskey. Cheers, everybody. All right, so we got about 25 minutes. So what I thought I would do is once again hype the James Taylor Shocked and Amazed. So I thought I'd read a little bit from there, but I'm not just read out of it. Usually when I read it, I get kind of hungry. So I'm going to do a snack while we do so, if you guys don't mind. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read a thing I think is very important. So let me find it. So what I'm going to read is I'm going to read a little excerpt from the James Taylor book, but specifically I'm going to do a thing from The Badass Broads of the Biz, which is written by my good friend Alex Dahl from the World of Wonders sideshow. So shout out to Alex Dahl and World of Wonders, in addition to James Taylor, etc., etc. It's a great book, and I think one of those things that gets not played as much is the women in sideshow, because they did a huge part as far as what's going on. It's amazing stuff. So what I'm going to talk about. So I'm gonna do a little bit about I think Lily B. But before I get started with that, I'm gonna have a little snack. This right here is a light bulb. It's a small light bulb because I just want a light snack. Let's get a good piece there. All right, so got a nice little piece of glass there. I need to overlay the shine. See it? Charlotte Lily B, which is Betty Lou Williams. So when you picture success in America during the Great Depression, because that's really when sideshows shown, at least during that time. Usually you think of things like Howard Hughes, Joseph Kennedy Sr., or even Babe Ruth. But no one beat the odds and turned disadvantage on its head like Betty Lou Williams, an African-American toddler who, at the age of 2, was netting nearly $300 a week. That's depression money. While grown white men stood in bread lines to feed their family. If you're wondering how she pulled it off, well, she had a little help from a friend. And no, I'm not talking about Robert Ripley, who placed her on a public pedestal in the 1934 World's Fair in Chicago. I'm talking about her parasitic twin, who extended gracefully from her abdomen and sported two whole legs, an unapologetic rump, and 2 arms of a sort, one of which boasted 3 spectacularly formed fingers. Billed as the double-bodied girl, or 4-legged wonder, born in January 10th, 1932 in Albany, Georgia. Lily B was destined for the stage, the 4th of 15 children. She was number 1 in America's hearts and went on to be billed as the world's greatest wonder in her early teens. Eloquent as she was determined, a 20-year-old Betty Lou spoke about a lot about her life, presumably while filing her semi-formed sister's nails in the Christmas 1952 issue of Jet magazine. When asked if her physical anomaly had ever caused her to consider suicide, she balked at the idea, insisting that God had allowed her to live past birth and placed her in this world with purpose, and she was not about to throw away the opportunity to do something great with that chance. She embraced that freak designation and wore the epithet with pride, emphasizing that her deformity was a gift, and without which she would not be able to provide for her 14 brothers and sisters. I'm going to try to do see that right there? Amazing, huh? That's just one of the little stories here from this book. Please pick it up. It's amazing and wonderful and wild. All right, what are we looking at? Wow, 20 minutes. All right, let's see. If you're on the chat, shout out for me, because I really like to do something else with somebody and do something crazy, but I need to know that I'm talking to somebody. So please, go in the chat. Make sure you're on the Cabin Fever live stream channel to do such a thing. I'm gonna double check mine as well, just to be off, just to make sure. So I apologize if I'm only kind of talking to you. All right. That's what I want. Yeah, because it looks like I've got 5 viewers going on, which I appreciate you guys coming on. Please keep coming back. I know they got a next really cool thing happening after us. I know body painting's happening. Like Rudy is amazing. I believe you can catch all his stuff, like as far as with like, I mean, he'll explain where he was on, but he's been on TV before and was on a really cool show. So I recommend checking out. Wash down this glass a little bit. Nobody wants to talk to me, or I'm playing in the background. That's fine, no worries. Usually my type of show runs a little bit later at night than normal, so the night owls haven't really kicked into like that. But what's cool is that this will still be online. You can check it out later. I did the trick earlier, which will still work whether or not you're watching now or not. So it's gonna be really cool. Some more glass. Cheers, everybody. Now, Dolly Derringer, who introduced me a little bit ago, said I used to live in Houston, which is true. I now live in Austin. The reason I live in Austin is because it was time to move on. I lived in a house full of ghosts. Now, before I say, I mean, there might have been real ghosts, I'm not sure. But at least the metaphorical ghosts, like the memories of people like that. See, that was the house that me and my wife had lived in. That house was owned by her great-grandmother's, how we inherited it. That was her childhood from. So there's a lot of memories, even with me changing out stuff, things like that, and having other people in the house. It's still turned the corner and she was still there in a lot of ways. For me to move on, I had to go. So I decided to move on and come to Austin, which weirdly enough is where Sassy, that's who that is up there. Her name is Sassy. Well, it's not a real name, but that's what I call her. Sassy Buttons. So shout out to Sassy. I didn't come here for her specifically. Rather, when I was thinking about leaving Houston, everything sounded equal as far as where to go. I could have went back to Dallas. I could have moved northwest to like Oregon or Washington, East Coast, anything. Everything sounded both equally good and equally bad. Her was the thing that kind of tipped it over to here. It still would have been a place I probably would have moved to anyways. Just it's nice to know that she's around too. She has her own place. I have my own place. Her dog, my dog, get along for the most part. It's been going good. It's been a great time for doing this sort of stuff. I'm happy to be here. I am currently not working at the moment. I work for a local costume shop, Lucy in Disguise with Diamonds in Austin. If you guys are familiar with it, please come check it out whenever we open up again. It'll be great. But they've been very kind and loving and wonderful. It's a great place to work at and a great place to be, and it fits this lifestyle. I hang out with drag queens and musicians all day. What's wrong with that? It's not much different from what I was doing in Houston, except it was more burlesque people and musicians. But now it's drag. I hang out with some burlesque people here, but it's been a lot of drag queens. In fact, for your Austin goers or anything beyond, get a chance when it comes to drag performers. Sticky Gold, Sylvia Hatchett, Papa Chulo, Papi Chulo, I'm sorry. Mascara Rivers are all amazing burlesque performers I know, and they do a lot of great things. Most of them are also the drag daughters of Louisiana Purchase, who we had a chance to check out on season 3 of the Boulay Brothers Dragula, which I think is currently on Netflix. Anyway, I'm dropping names like crazy. It's really, really weird. I'm not meaning to. It's more about making sure you guys are aware of these people so that way you can check them out, and then making sure they get love. In fact, anything you tip to me will most likely go to one of the people I've talked to about tonight. Is whenever they have an offer, either I'm going to buy their products, which I most likely I try to buy products because that shows worth and word of mouth. I mean, one thing to give money, which I do appreciate, but product is also really cool. So if they have product, I'm definitely going to be able to buy the product. I've been doing it like Ryan M. Wells was on earlier. He has his Bandcamp EP, Beer for Songs. I bought that recently. What else? Curse Mackey is a performer, and he has his own like black nail polish line. So I bought some of that because this is kind of cool. I like the weirder kind of product stuff, and if there's not a product, then I'll just tip. Who else can I recommend? Because that's basically what I'm going to do now. Is I'm just going to say people you need to check out. So, music-wise, and I like a lot of everything. So, this is going to run the gamut of types of music to be into. If you're into weird goth industrial music, I recommend Sign, S-I-N-E. They're out of Austin, Texas, along with Curse Mackey. Curse Mackey has done stuff with the Evil Mothers and KMFDM, and has toured with people like My Life at Thrill Kill Cult and so on. I recommend Swimwear Department out of Houston, Texas. Kind of 80s-ish kind of music that they sing about the pool, the mall, and anything involving the pool and the mall. That's it, and it's amazing. Tomar and the FCs, like kind of cool, like 50s, 60s R&B sound. They're out of Austin, Texas. I mean, they make some baby-making music, so make sure you have lots of protection before you listen to the music, because it's about to go down. Who else? JB's and the Nightcrawlers. I do one caveat is the fact is to say that JBZ used to live with me. When after Heather had died, I lived by myself, and I'm gonna tell this story real quick. I was living on my own by that point in time, like about 6 months in, or not even the 6 months. But it was after the hurricane, Harvey, and I saw, and we had become like Facebook friends. We'd met like once or twice at a bar and stuff like that. Became friends. Didn't know each other, but we kind of knew each other. So one day on Facebook, he said, "Hey, I'm really looking for a place to move, like immediately with me and a dog." And me, I'm like been by myself for a bit. I wasn't sure if I was ready to have anybody else in the house, but he had a dog, and I messaged it back, and I spent like 3 or 4 hours thinking about it. And I went, you know what? If our dogs get along, you can stay with me for a bit until you can figure stuff out. So about 45 minutes later, he came over with his dog, Vader. People watched his cast, saw a big painting behind him. That's a painting of Vader. It was a sweet little pit mix. And him and my dog got along fine. Rambunctious, but fine. So I went, hey, yeah, you know what? You can stay here. You can stay here for a bit till you figure stuff out. It became really, really, really apparent that we blended really well as roommates. We had similar enough interests that we can do stuff together, but we didn't have to be around each other. So it worked out perfect. And basically, he stayed with me until I decided that I was going to move out. But I'm also the type of person, I'm not going to hype something if I don't like it. I would still go. Even like if it was something I wasn't into, but I can go, you know, I recognize it. I'll still do something. If it's good, I'm still going to say what it is. And JBZ and the Nightcrawlers is an amazing band. I totally recommend them. I've been hyping them since I met them before he even moved in. So it doesn't change. So if you get a chance, I definitely recommend it. I know on YouTube he has a couple of videos out for some of the songs he did, including Hold On, which was his most recent thing, which was about Hurricane Harvey. And really is a message that actually really works out really, really well for actually even today concerning with the quarantine stuff like that. You need to hold on. It's worthwhile. And then there's 3 Days to Live, which I had the honor of being a part of the video for that. Let's see, who else? I'd be remiss without mentioning that one of my favorite Houston bands would be Another Run. They're a really good kind of pop rock band, I guess. I don't know. They're really, really amazing. They have a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Check it out. My favorite song of theirs is like "What Happened," which is like they made it years ago, but it's still a great video. I have so much love for like the band out there: Bob Lane, Zach Weathers, Adrian Martinez, Andrew Martinez, and Adrian Grammer. I had remembered it. I'm not too drunk yet. Amazing, phenomenal. What else? What else can I recommend? Let's talk burlesque. I'm a big fan. I've been actually a huge fan of burlesque for years. That's a thing me and Heather bonded over because she really loved burlesque a lot. So we've been going to for years, which is how I got to know people like Coco Electric. And performers I personally love. With that the aforementioned Coco Electric. Out of Houston, Tifa Tiddlywinks, who's one of my best friends. She's an amazing performer. I'll talk her up all day long. I've done it on stage many times. I'll probably do so as long as she'll have me doing so. Nikki Knockout's another amazing performer out of Houston. She's an aerialist. Everything, like she has water, she's a mermaid, it's phenomenal. Kiki Maroon, one of the funnier people I've known. See who else? There's Noir Lele, who I've got to be good friends with. She doesn't get enough shout outs with. I really adore her immensely. There's a lot of really good up and comers that are really, really good. Dahlia Derringer, who was on here a minute ago, an amazing performer. Really, really cool. There's people like I know about. I'm forgetting people, and I apologize. I blame the tons of whiskey I've had already. Austin, Texas. Golden Candela is an amazing person, amazing performer. Who else? I really adore Alexander the Great, an amazing trans performer who is a phenomenal aerialist. I'm not gonna lie. I recommend seeing him as much as possible. I go out of my way to make sure I'm at events to see him perform. It's amazing. Ginger Snaps, who has been voted like the #1 burlesque performer in Austin for like 30, it's like 3 years, but it feels like she's a plus size aerialist. And now you're gonna say, what? Amazing. I'm just gonna say recommend that right now. Let's talk, then so on and so forth. There's just too many people. That's the problem. Sideshow. We got the Trash Fire people from Houston, which is Scabs the Clown, Nick the Vegan, Chris Broken. I got Becky Ritz, who's an up-and-comer, is amazing. I've got Lucas, who's an amazing strongman. All phenomenal people out of Houston. Out of Austin, the people I've worked with and known for a while has been Dan Block, the Amazing Face, and Fifi motherfucking Switchblade, who holds it down. Both hold it down here in Austin. And then outside of Austin, outside of stuff like that for my friends, I got things like Vivacious Miss Audacious from out of New Orleans. You've got Pinky DeVille out of England. Who else? You got Juliette Electrique out of Vegas. You got sideshow groups like the Tinderbox Sideshow, who are an amazing performance. Tresh and Captain Darren Von Awesome. Hold It Down. You got Captain and Mabel, also great. You got Steel City, are also great. Stray Cat Sideshow. I mean, there's just so many good things. Dr. Finnegan's Circus, who won the award last year at the Hootenanny. And of course, my good friends, the Monsters of Schlock. So I've dropped a lot of names. I feel like I'm worse than like people. So it's really crazy and weird. So I'm gonna leave it with this. I've got a couple minutes before it goes. And so what I want you guys to think about before I go is this. Make sure you have your drink. Everybody performs here tonight. And then everybody you see performing live, stuff like that. We're artists. You don't understand how important that really is. Art is the heart and soul of everything going on. See, you have to understand that the emotional heart of the world isn't big business. It's not even our government. It's not our cities or it's our towns. Our emotional heart comes from our entertainers. Our musicians, our clowns, our comedians, our writers. They are what hold our heart. They are the ones who can help convey those things we wish we could. But right now our heart is hurting. Our entertainers are hurting. So please, if able, give what you can. Tip generously. Buy their merchandise. Book for them for the event whenever we have moved past quarantine. Just please, 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 please do not give up on your heart. If you like what you saw tonight, please make sure you tip everybody that you can. And if you don't know who to tip, right here, donate to cabinfeverlivestream@gmail.com. Now, if you like this show tonight, please, I get all my information right over there. Any funds that I receive will be going towards the performers I love, and most of those will be people I mentioned tonight. And hopefully I get to have here on this show as well. So I want to thank you guys very much for being watching me as far as doing stuff like that. If you want to be a part of the show for the Devil's Hour, make sure you tip that. Make sure you send me a line right there, which is devilsexhibit@gmail.com. We'll figure out what the best way to work it out and stuff like that, and we'll go from there. All right? Cool. I've got a couple minutes left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leaf out. I'm going to say I wish you guys well. Shinobi wishes you well. He's passed out in the other room. Otherwise, he would say hello. Next time, hopefully, we'll do so. And then I'll hopefully see you guys soon. So thank you guys very much. And stay tuned for RCC Creations, and you're going to blow your fucking mind with what he does. All right? Cool. Thank you.